trying to bounce back from last week game against Vandy, and I feel like everybody mindset was in the right place. Everyone knew that we was not gonna let that loss just bring us down as a team because the whole team, we all know the Bama standard, and our job was to bounce back from that win and keep working, and we're gonna continue to push forward.
Speaking of the Bama standard, you were a guy who was recruited by Auburn really seriously and Alabama. What made you choose Bama in the end?
Really coming to Bama is all about the better program, and I feel like choosing Bama, they was gonna be the ones to bring out the better person in me, and not just within football, but also outside of football. And I feel like that could also take me a long way with my career in football to choosing Bama.
You're in a loaded running back room. What's it like being around so much talent?
Man, it's crazy, but it's also great because you know being around those guys every day and getting the chance to work and compete against them and practice against them every day, you really get to watch them and take things from them and learn from them and kind of compare your game to them and it's pretty cool honestly because you get to ask those guys questions and ask them how it was when they was in my footsteps when they was younger and when they was freshmen and they tell you a lot of cool stories about it, but they also tell you like it comes a lot of hard work with that. But being in a running back room with a lot of those backs, it means a lot because I can also become better every day just by competing with those guys.
What's the most freakish thing you've seen from one of your teammates in a running back room since you've been at Bama?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Probably just Justice and Jam just trucking people all the time, like in the game and then practice, like, cause it be so crazy, like it be like some hard trucks though, cause like all you hear is just like pads clacking, man. So like that's probably like the craziest things just seeing from them guys, just their aggression and toughness on the field. Like it's crazy because those guys they'll give you a hit before you come and hit them, and I can tell you that for
Mhm.
sure.
So coming from a high school offensive line to now playing behind the Alabama offensive line, even the guys who may not be starting are still good. What's it been like? Have you had to adjust your game any to learn how to run behind a more talented offensive line?
I can't say I have. My coach tells me all the time that I'm not in high school anymore, so I can't just kind of freely run how I want to. It's plays and run plays set up that are meant for me to follow the blocks, that are meant for me to go through certain gaps like the A gap or B gap. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like that it is a really big difference coming from high school into college, dealing with the run game and dealing with blocking in your old lineman.
When we talk recruiting, Alabama has the number two class right now, and there's still running backs coming, and still guys like when you talk to running backs that may be on campus and they want to talk to you because you're somebody who understands it. What do you tell them about coming to Alabama where you may have to wait your turn? And like in this world where guys don't want to wait.
Man, I mean that's a tough conversation that you got to have with a lot of those guys, and it's a lot of the guys that don't want to hear it. But one thing that I tell them is that like coming to Bama, you will be prepared. Way to trust in the process and waiting your turn. It might not sound the best and it might not be as fun, but through the process, you're gonna be building up the relationship with people throughout the facility. You're gonna be building up a relationship with your teammates and the older guys that are in the facility and learning from them. So about time it is your time to get in, and by the time it is your time to shine and play, you will already be having a lot of that stuff already in your head on what to do and how to do it because you've been watching the older guys from the previous years on what to do and everything. So I feel like in certain situations it can be a good thing, but it can be tough sometimes.
You were recruited by Coach Nick Saban, and you chose to stay with Kalen Deboer came. What was like the biggest difference that you saw and from you being recruited by Coach Saban to playing under Kalen DeBoer?
Really just being recruited by Nick Saban. It was he made sure he recruited me. I mean, like they stayed in contact with me like every day. So that's one thing I can say. And going on a visit, they'll show you everything. Like I mean, the visits are amazing. But one thing I can say, they'll make sure they build up the relationships with you and your family and stay in contact with you every day.
Mhm.
And I mean, playing under Coach Kalen Deboer, I mean, it's good because he makes sure we're disciplined. He shows us a lot, and I mean, our mindset is going being winning on every day, and I feel like he's got that stuck in our head from day one since he's been here. And him being our head coach, I mean, a lot of the guys trust him, and I feel like he trusts us. So that's a good. That's good.
So you got your first carries in college against Western Kentucky. What was it like toting that pill with that Alabama helmet on your head?
I mean, it was amazing, man. Getting onto that field, with that many people around, that many fans in that stadium. I mean, you can't even imagine. But like the first carry, I mean, all you can think about is like just run, get in the end zone, get in the end zone. That's all I was thinking. Like that's all in my head. But that experience was amazing. I'm working my tail out to get in the game more, like a lot more.
No, for sure. When it comes to the work ethic that it takes to be somebody considered to understand the Bama standard, how much harder have you had to work in college versus high school?
Man, it's a big difference. I mean, we work hard every day. I mean, obviously we are. I mean, the whole team is in like really good shape. And like as you can tell by watching games, everyone is in really good shape. But I mean, like the work difference is really huge. I mean, everything is fast paced. Your teammates are coaching you. Your teammates are pushing you in every drill. So I mean, like the work difference is really big, but it helps out a lot because it brings the team together and it puts a lot of toughness into the team.
What was the biggest transition that you had to make as far as personally, as Kevin Riley? What transition did you have to make in order to get to the Bama standard?
In order, I'd say the biggest thing for me, I had to learn how to be consistent. And I feel
Mhm.
like that's the hardest thing when it comes to playing college football because anybody can get used to going to practice, you know, doing like going over plays, working out. Anybody can get used to that. But when it comes to doing that every day, I mean, that starts to get hard. And that's when your brain starts to kind of slow down. You kind of tell yourself, like, you start to rethink. But learning how to stay consistent, I feel like that's a big, huge part in playing college football because that can help out a lot.
So a lot of people are talking about the loss to Vanderbilt, but I want to talk about the win over Georgia. What was the locker room like after you guys beat Georgia?
And the energy was crazy. I mean, since before the game and halftime and after the game, the energy was the same throughout, even through that whole week of practice. Everybody had some hype energy throughout practice, even through the locker room. I mean, just that entire week was crazy and energetic throughout the facility. And I mean, after that Georgia game in the locker room, seeing the looks on everyone's faces and the smiles and the proudness of everybody, it was amazing because everyone knew that they went out on that field, gave it their all, and gave it 100% on that field.
So coming from an environment like that where the energy was crazy, then like the Vanderbilt game, and it's like, you know, you give up one that you probably shouldn't have. How did the team come together to make sure that that won't happen again?
Um, The biggest thing about that was just knowing everyone had a job to do. And I
Hmm.
think the biggest thing was we just needed to take one play at a time. And I think going through practice last week and even just going through practice throughout the year for the rest of the year, everyone's mind is just, from now on, we're just going to do our job one play at a time, relax, take a deep breath. Because, being playing at Bama, it's a high standard at Bama, and everyone on the team knows that. Even coming from Nick Saban when he was coaching, so I feel like that plays a big part even in the games now because some of the older players and the seniors they're already knowing like what to do and how to play because they've been here before. They've been in the game type situations like that before. So I feel like that's just a huge part when it comes to that.
Running backs coach Robert Gillespie is famous for being a great recruiter. What did he say to you to make you choose Bama?
Honestly, man, what the hell are you doing? That was it. I'm gonna keep it real. It was just like, what the hell are you doing, man?
What did he mean?
Like, I mean, at the time, it was just like, they was recruiting me heavy. And
Mhm.
I'm an in town kid, so I mean, I feel like that just played a huge part in it because like me being in town, family here, family is not too far away from me. They're pretty close, so I mean, just being in town from Tuscaloosa, that's just a huge part in it because I ain't got to go nowhere, and excuse me, and when it's my time to shine, I could just be a hometown hero for the city.
What are you looking forward to the most when it comes to being the next great Alabama running back?
I mean, just looking more forward to just making myself better as a person, becoming a better player, watching, how the previous backs that came through Alabama, such as Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Josh Jacobs, backs like those, those are, known as the greatest, coming out of Bama, being known as running back. So I feel like, just kind of comparing myself to them when I leave, Bama, I feel like that'll just be my biggest thing and that'll be like a goal to achieve once I leave.
Ashton Jeanty is like going crazy right now at Boise State. Did you ever have thoughts of going to a smaller school so you can get the ball faster?
Nah, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like, having thoughts like that, nah, it really never came through my mind because I just felt like I always had the talent. Like coming out of high school, I feel like I could have went anywhere in the country and got the ball just as many times as anybody else would have. So I feel like just going to a smaller school, getting the ball more times, that won't really mean anything. But I feel like I feel like I could have went anywhere and got the ball just as many times. So with my skills.
So, as somebody who understands and knows what you guys are working towards, and being somebody who's actually working towards it, what do you have to say to Alabama fans to tell them about how the rest of the season is going to go?
And I mean, just keep your eyes open, man. Keep your TVs on. Come to the games wearing your jersey because it's gonna be a movie. Just be
Yeah,
ready because we're going for that natty.
yeah.
It's
All
it's
right,
it's stamped, it's stamped, man. For sure.
let's go. Kel, where can everybody find you on social media?
You can find my Instagram. I am Kevin underscore at that.
All right, what about Twitter?
Twitter is Kevin Riley underscore 6.
All right, say no more, man. Thanks so much, Kel, man. See you soon, dog.
Yes, sir. See.
All right, bet.